I've heard my whole drumming life that the only way to play loud and fast is to play heel up. Well, I've always broken this rule, and I'll share with you why. The truth is, there is a big, underrated, under-talked about skill that everyone has to eventually learn in order to master speed and volume regardless of the technique they're using. So what we're getting at today is that you can make your bass drum technique work. You can make your preferred technique work, whatever that is, whether it's heel down or heel up. I'll show you exactly how you can do this. Let's dig in. Hey, welcome to the Non-Glamorous Drummer. This is a channel where we're all about learning the core skills that actually make a difference in your playing and to help you make faster progress in less time. And we're all about showing you your next step. When you know your next step, you can make faster progress. And a great way to do that is by downloading my free guide. It's in the description. It's called Your Drumming Progress Blueprint. Discover which drumming stage you're in. I've laid out 6 stages that every drummer passes through, from stage 1 beginner to stage 6 session drummer. That's the dream. Whether or not you want to be a session drummer, you want to be able to record well. So that's where we're going. So identify which stage you're in. It's easy to do in this guide, and then you'll know the exact action steps you need to take to progress to the next stage. There's links to additional lessons, everything that you need. And so this is clarity in your practicing. Know your next steps so that you can take action, make progress, reach your drumming dreams. This is what I want for you. So go grab that. All right, on with today's lesson. I'll show you in a minute the bass drum technique I use and how I'm able to play as loud as I need to, as fast as I need to for everything that I play without running into trouble, and that's playing heel down. So I'll show you more about my technique and how it's actually evolved over time and where I started and where I've landed now. But first, I want to just go ahead and share with you that underrated truth that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Regardless of which technique you use, you must build strength and agility through repetition in order to build up the speed and the volume that you want on the bass drum. And that's regardless of which technique you use. So even if you're playing heel up, which all the metal drummers will tell you is the only way to play fast, even if you're playing heel up, you still have to do a lot of repetitive exercises and workouts to build up the muscles that you're using to play quickly. Likewise, if you're going to play heel down, you have to build up muscles in order to play loudly, in order to play quickly. So I want to say this now to get it out of the way, that there's no one best technique on the bass drum that suddenly allows you to play fast, nor is there one best pedal to buy that will allow you to play fast. There are some fancy pedals out there that kind of allow you to cheat, where you can like rock your foot back and forth, so it's like a double bass pedal on a single pedal. But we're not going to talk about those. I've never played on one. We're real drummers here. We're non-glamorous drummers, and so we're going to do this the real way, and we're going to actually build the strength that we need to actually play what we want to play. But all that to say, you have to put in the work, regardless of which technique you're going to use, regardless of the pedal that you're using, whether it's a $500 pedal or a $50 pedal. You have to put in the work. You have to practice the right things and build the strength so that you can play loudly, so that you can play quickly. And that's what we're going to talk about today in a lot of depth. So you're going to know exactly what to work on and exactly how to improve your bass drum playing regardless of your technique, which is really cool. So what is my technique? So I've always been a heel down player, and I think that came from the fact that I was a piano player. I played piano from 3rd grade all through high school and didn't really start on the drums till I was in high school. And so I think because, playing piano, you have your heel resting and you play the pedals on the piano from a heel down position. I think that's why that felt natural to me, but also by the time I was in high school, I was getting pretty tall. I'm like 6'4" now, and I had a piano bench that I used as my first drum stool with my electric drum set, and it really wasn't high enough for me. So I was sitting too low, and if you're sitting too low, it's impossible to be comfortable with a heel up position, because then you're having to lift your leg up. So this is a side note. If you want to play heel up really well, you've got to sit pretty high. And if you're a shorter person, that's easier to do, probably, and it might feel more natural to you. But for somebody who's over 6 feet like myself, heel down ends up feeling more natural unless I'm just going to sit crazy high, which I'm not. So heel down's always felt more comfortable to me. I've got another video I did a while back about throne height, and we kind of get into some of that, so I'll link that in the description if you want to check that out. Also, total side note, these are my favorite shoes for playing drums. These are just some house shoes from I don't know what store, but they're really good because they grip really well and they're so comfortable I can feel the pedal. There's always somebody that'll comment on my videos and be like, "Bro, you need to get more stylish shoes, get shoes that are more cool." I actually took these shoes on a session one time. I was recording for somebody, and I actually brought these house shoes with me so I could take off the shoes that I was wearing and put these on because I liked them so much. And just it makes playing drums easier because I can grip the pedal well. which is important for me. That is related to my technique. But I can also feel the pedal well because these are thin. So it's kind of the equivalent of wearing really thin shoes, kind of like Converse in a way, but they're super flexible and I can move my toes and everything. So that's why I love wearing my house shoes when I play drums. And so I've even brought these on gigs before, taken them on sessions, and they're the best. So get yourself a good pair of moccasins, of house shoes, of whatever you want to call these things, because they're great. Some people like to play either barefoot or with just socks on so their feet can slide. For me, I do like to let my foot skip a little bit up the pedal if I'm playing something quickly, but I feel like I need to have some grip in order to have control over that. If I'm going to play quickly, I'm going to end up doing something like, which is a little bit of that skip, kind of like a heel-toe sort of thing. And so to keep this super simple and be totally honest and as transparent as I can with you, I'm not doing anything fancy here. When I've had people ask me before, like, what foot technique do you use for when you want to play quick doubles? And my honest answer is sometimes I don't really know exactly. I don't know what the technique is, but I've spent a lot of time in my practicing just being able to play quickly, heel down, and so it's kind of just, I'm just moving my foot quickly. I sat here and I practiced. So maybe my foot's skipping a little bit sometimes, maybe there's a little bit of a heel-toe kind of technique, but not really, because honestly my heel stays down most of that time. It's literally just, I'm just tapping my foot quickly. And so that's why I want to really hit home the point today that you can make any technique work by practicing it a lot and building up that strength. For me, because I was playing heel down, my goal was to build as much foot strength, ankle strength, shin strength as I could early on so that I could play anything I wanted to play. Because early on I was feeling a lot of burn here. And that's where you might be, where maybe you're wanting to switch to heel down because you feel like you have better balance that way. I would feel out of balance if I was heel up because I do a lot of heel up stuff with my left foot. Topic for another lesson video. But I like to stay heel down on my right foot because that helps keep me anchored. That's just an additional reason. And I've had students who have actually switched to heel down from heel up because they realized they needed to be more balanced at the kit, and it's helped them a lot. But what stands in the way of that a lot of times is they'll switch to heel down and then realize, oh, this is hard. Like now I'm feeling all this burn in my shin and it's harder and I'm having to put in more work and it just feels like a workout. Yeah, that's the way it is. And that was what I faced early on when I first started playing the drums, that, okay, I can play louder and maybe a little faster right now if I go heel up, but I feel way better when I'm heel down. I feel more relaxed, more comfortable. I'm not playing this balancing game. I don't feel like a tripod that isn't open wide enough, that's just teetering, because that's how I felt. I'd rather be heel down, so it was worth the price of practicing a lot. I'm going to show you exactly what I've always liked doing and what my students have done and what you can do too. And building up that strength. So take the time to build up the foot strength, the shin strength, whatever you've got to do so that you can play what you want to play. And so maybe you'll end up doing something like what I do, where there's no specific trick little technique there. There's no little hack to make it faster. It's simply just my foot moving quickly. Now, of course, there's a limit to how fast I can go, and I'm not playing speed metal and anything insane. So that's where maybe the metal drummers are going to tell me that, well, what I'm doing doesn't work for insanely fast metal. Well, I don't consider drumming to be a sport. I'm not a fan of drumnastics and the insanity that some of those guys are doing. That's just not me. That's not my style. Nothing against the metal drummers of the world, and if you're into that, great. You might want to find another channel to really learn from, because I'm not the guy to teach that to you. I like songs and melodies, and I like music that's not driven by like that. It just doesn't appeal to me. So I've never had motivation to get insane speed with my feet. I do own a couple of double bass pedals, but I really don't use them that much. I'd rather just stick with my single pedal. So, full disclosure, I don't think that my technique is going to get me to where I would need to be if I were going to be the fastest metal drummer in the world. But that's not my goal, and my guess is that's not your goal either, or else you probably wouldn't be here on this channel watching these non-glamorous drummer videos where we're about being musical on the drums. The other thing that I do exclusively is bounce the beater. Now, if I were getting extremely fast with like, with something crazy like that, okay, that's where it's starting to bury, where it is like a bounce berry. But with pretty much all other instances of my playing, whether it's, you know, pretty fast or really slow, it's going to be purely bouncing. And so I want to always have that beater in motion, which is a key part of my technique, and it's something I'm going to teach to you also. But the reason I landed on that was because I was playing a lot of gigs where I was burying my beater, my joints were kind of hurting, my knee was hurting, and I just wasn't really getting the sound I wanted or the precision that I wanted out of the kick drum, especially when playing quietly. And so I decided to make the shift of, instead of playing with my foot up here, where it was driving into the chain and the chain was tearing up my shoes, instead I backed off a little bit. I'm a size 11 shoe, actually not that big for my height. I have my heel pretty much on the heel plate, and so I've got about 2 inches to spare between big toe and chain. Really about 2 inches to spare from end of my shoe to the chain. If I were barefoot, it might be a little different. But that's where I've got my foot. When it's positioned there, I can much more easily bounce the beater and have a full range of beater motion. This is key. This is something really important. So I've shown you what I do, what my technique is. I'm going to show you exactly what I want you to practice to make sure that you're making whatever technique you do work for you, so that you're building up strength through repetition, you're building that agility and that speed that you want. There's a really good quote in the intro of Stick Control by George Lawrence Stone. This book, super popular drumming book. You may have it. He talks about in the introduction that quiet playing leads to control. And this is in the context of, you know, practicing singles and different hand patterns. And that's true on the kick drum too. And so I'll extend that and say that loud playing leads to strength building, but quiet playing leads to precision building. So we want to build precision in our playing, not just speed. We don't want to just get really good at hammering a hammer. We want to get good at, you know, playing lightly with a nice touch. So all the things that we practice with our sticks and with our hands, we also want to do with our right foot on the kick drum. And so we want to practice loudly to build the strength. So if you want to do heel down, or even if you're doing heel up, you've got to build some strength and some stability in playing loudly and consistently, nice and strong and even. That's going to help build all that strength that you need there. But you also need to practice softly in order to build the precision, in order to be consistent, so that if you're playing something light, like see how I'm playing very softly down there, but I'm still moving the beater a lot and letting it bounce. That's the equivalent of letting your sticks bounce loosely. When things are in motion, they tend to naturally play with better time. When your beater is in motion, it tends to naturally play with better time, versus if I were to play it this way. See how horrible that is? It's so sloppy because I'm keeping it choked up right here, and it's kind of half burying, and we're getting all this flutter and nastiness. But the thing is, a lot of drummers are suffering through this because they have their beater adjusted too close to the head. I've had students before where I look at their pedal and I see that, oh, their beater resting position is right here. It needs to be a lot further back. So that's the first thing I want you to do here. Adjust your pedal so you've got at least a 45-degree angle, if not further back. Even if it's pretty far back, you're going to be fine. I don't think you can go too far unless it's just resting back here or something crazy like that. Make sure you've got some significant distance between the beater and the head, because you want to be able to have that motion, especially if you're wanting to play loud. If you want to play loudly and you want to play fast, you have to have the beater distance. I know it might seem counterintuitive. If you've gotten used to playing with the beater up close to the head, you feel like, well, if I want to play faster, I need to have less distance. So it can, you know, less distance means quicker time, quicker playing, because it doesn't have to move as far. Maybe that's true if you're only ever playing softly, but that means when you're trying to play quickly, either it's going to get kind of sloppy like that, or it kind of blurs together, or it's just going to get muddled. It's not going to sound very good. It's not going to be strong and punctual like. See how when I'm doing that, the beater's going all the way back here. My starting position for the stroke is way back here. I'm starting back here, and then it's bouncing to here, and then in for the second note. So it's kind of like boom, boom, like that, just like we would do with our hands. We're starting up here, and that's nice and strong. So that's so key. Make sure you've got some beater angle. So do that. Now the next thing I want you to do, so this is kind of weird, but bear with me, stick with me. This is so worth practicing. It helped me a lot. If you take your foot off your pedal and you grab your beater with your hand like this and you let it go, boom, 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 it's gonna bob at a certain tempo. And that tempo with my pedal is roughly eighth notes at like 110, usually about 110 beats a minute. That's kind of that sweet spot, and that's what I like to call it, my pedal's natural tempo. So we could say that every pedal has a natural tempo, and when you do that, boom, 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 it's naturally going to bob at that tempo. So that means you could put your foot on your pedal like this, whether you're doing heel down or heel up. If you're doing heel up, it might look like this, where you're kind of just pivoting your foot. If you're heel down, it might look like this. And you can just get your beater bobbing. See if you can do this in time. I found that my sweet spot, the beater naturally bobs at about 110 probably, but 115 eighth notes. I know it's kind of hard to airplay with a metronome because you don't actually hear the sound, so it's hard to know that you're with it. But get roughly in the ballpark and just sit here, just airplaying. Get the beater as close to the head as you can get it without it actually touching. So you've got this full range of beater motion without it actually making a sound. The reason why we want to do this is because we want to use that motion to play loudly, but also to play softly. And we want to use this motion to build strength and also to build precision. Remember that we want to build our strength through loud playing. We want to build our precision through soft playing. And so we're going to do both of those things with this motion, because what's cool, once you get this going, you can establish this motion, and then all you have to do is increase the range of beater motion a little bit. And now we have soft eighth notes going on. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Now when you're trying to do them super soft, they're probably not going to be perfectly consistent. But you'd be surprised how consistent you can get them when you're just establishing a motion here. It's just like when you got your stick moving. When you establish a motion, it's like the pendulum of a clock. It's like when you're walking down a street. You don't have to think about your pace because you've established the motion, the rhythm of your walking. That's what we're doing right here. So set your metronome. Here's 115. And what you may find is that, okay, that feels a little slower, that feels a little faster. I have a tendency to rush that or drag that. Find your easiest tempo to do this at. Maybe it's 120. Here's 120. And just try to keep it as consistent as you can. Consistently soft as you can. It might take a lot of focus. You might feel like you're just sitting here sweating, but do the best you can. 120 might be your sweet spot. So that's 120. That's a little faster than the pedal's natural tempo, but I think it's easy to settle into that. It doesn't really want to rush. It feels great. So get that going and then gradually increase the range of motion so that it starts to get louder. Before you know it, you're super loud, and so you've gone through the whole range of dynamics. And so practice keeping the tempo steady, keeping the motion smooth, going really loud, going medium, going soft, going super soft, until eventually you're just airplaying again. And so practice all of that over like a 60-second time span. So if you can set a count up or a countdown or whatever on your phone for 60 seconds and just start doing this with your metronome at 115, 120, start nothing, gradually get louder, gradually phase it in. So maybe at 30 seconds you're really loud and then begin to phase it back out. That's such a good, productive thing to practice because you're building your precision by establishing a motion, and then you're building the strength, because to play loud and to keep that loud, it takes a lot of strength. So you can focus on those two dynamic areas. You can sit there and just practice playing loudly, just hammering it out, going loud, building strength, and then practice doing it softly for building that precision. Now, you could also build a groove out of this. You could throw in some quarter notes on the ride, throw in some backbeats, whatever you want to do to maybe make this a little bit more fun. And so you get the idea. You can have a lot of fun with this and incorporate some coordination practice into it by adding in other elements and keep those pulsating eighth notes or sixteenths. If you were to half the tempo down to 60, then you're doing sixteenths on the kick. And really that's what we were doing there, because we were doing a slow kind of groove feel. So anyways, you can practice that. And then you can apply that to a lot of songs. And that's where this really gets fun, because there are so many songs out there that involve a lot of 16th notes on the kick, or that involve a lot of driving eighths, or that are just pounding 4 on the floor upbeat songs that are great songs for working out your right foot. So I've got a list of them here. You'll definitely know some of these. First two are by The Killers. Great rock band. So many great records that came out in the 2000s. When You Were Young. So that whole song is just doom doom ga doom 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 ga doom 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 ga. Strong eighth notes. It's such a great foot workout. If you're a fan of The Killers, play along to that song. Or Mr. Brightside, up tempo, 4 on the floor, just pounding those quarter notes. Try to bounce them. So instead of always burying your quarter notes, try to play like that. It's okay if there's a little bit of bouncing going on in between, like where it comes back to here. The point is, let the pedal naturally do what it wants to do, but don't bury that beater. Just let it be relaxed, but nice and loud. You'll build up so much strength and you'll have fun doing it, because it's a fun song. So if you're a fan of The Killers, there you go. Or going back a couple decades from those Killers records, Panama by Van Halen. There's another good upbeat 4 on the floor song. And of course, there are so many from 70s and 80s. And so there might already be songs that are popping into your head now that I'm not going to mention, that I don't have time to mention, that you're already thinking, oh, there's a really good one I can go practice. But a lot of upbeat Van Halen songs are great. I wouldn't dive into Hot for Teacher unless you're just wanting to go crazy with the double bass, because that's definitely the Van Halen example of something crazy fast. Don't go there just yet. That's one that I know I would have to practice and pull out my double bass pedal for if I were going to tackle that. But Panama, good up-tempo 4 on the floor, good song for working out your right foot. Another good 4 on the floor song from also like 2005, I think, American Idiot by Green Day. That song is so fast. Doom, 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 doom. So fast, and then it goes into eighth notes. So there's a lot of pounding eighths, pounding quarters, just a lot of strong, loud, full of attack, punchy kind of punk drumming going on there. And so if you're into that style at all, that is a great way to really work out your right foot. The whole goal in this is to have fun doing it. Hallelujah by Paramore. That song has a lot of driving sixteenths. Doom, 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 ga, doom, 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 ga. A lot of quarter notes also. Just a lot of driving kick drum stuff. And so Hallelujah, Paramore, another fun one. Let's Go Crazy by Prince. Good 80s song for just something that's super repetitive. That song is the same drum part over and over again, the whole song. And so if you want a song that's simple, that you can just sit there and practice this to, and you happen to be a Prince fan, there you go. A lot of the 80s music is very repetitive and kind of drum machine-esque. And so it can be a good option for practicing something technical like this and just building strength. Basically, it's a workout song, just like jogging along to a song so that your run is more fun. You're just practicing your kick drum along to a song just for the sake of hearing something interesting while you're doing it. So really, any song that's quick enough to provide you with some repetition so you can get that workout. Now, all of these songs are like upbeat, loud songs. Also, find some softer songs. And so maybe some are coming to mind. Maybe it's like a James Taylor song. Like think singer-songwriter, something really chill, a song that's really soft, where then you can practice being nice and loose in your motion, where it might be where we don't want to be all choked up. We're not playing right here. We're still allowing beater motion, but we're just letting it be gentle. That's something else you want to get in the habit of doing. So find some songs too that are more soft and chill so that you can focus on that precision. So remember, loud playing leads to strength building, which we want, which leads to speed. But then the soft playing leads to precision, which also leads to speed. All these things work hand in hand. And so you want to practice both of these dynamics by going through that exercise that starts with the air playing here. So go do that. If you take away anything from today's lesson, I want it to be that you can make any kick drum technique work, whatever you feel comfortable with. If you like heel down, go for it. If you like heel up, go for it. Whether you have a $50 pedal or a $500 pedal, you can make it work. Work with what you've got. Give yourself enough beater angle and then get to work practicing this stuff. Know that whatever technique you do, there's no hack, there's no trick, no shortcut to building speed and volume. You have to build the strength. You have to build the precision. So do the exercise I shared with you today. honestly, that alone is going to go a long way. And then just practice using that good technique, that bouncing kind of motion in songs as you're practicing, and you'll be good to go. You'll be able to go really far with this. Take action, get to the practice room, get to work practicing this, and I can't wait to hear the results you're getting and how much cleaner your right foot playing gets and how much faster you're even able to play. And hey, while you're here, go download my free guide I told you about earlier, Find What Drumming Stage You're In, so that you know exactly what you need to practice to progress to the next stage. That way you can set some short-term goals and set some long-term goals and know what your ultimate destination is so you can reach your drumming dreams. It's your drumming progress blueprint. It's literally your success path, your blueprint to success. And so I want you to have that. That's going to give you a lot of clarity and direction in your playing. So go download it. It's my gift to you, totally free, in the description. As always, thanks so much, guys, for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. And to those of you guys who have been subscribed for a long time or have been watching so many of my videos, thanks for hanging out as always. And you guys who are action takers, you especially, you guys are the heroes of this channel, the ones who take these lessons, take action, and practice this stuff and get results. You are the ones I'm making these videos for, because that's what this is all about. It's not just about you watching a video and then, oh, that's nice what Steven showed me today. It's no good unless you take action on it and you practice it. And so I love hearing about the progress people are making when they practice this stuff, when they take action. So be an action taker. Go work on this. I will see you on the next lesson. In the meantime, thanks for watching. Have a great week.